what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there is also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it is rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you both.
Yo, yo.
Hello.
It's just us.
It is just us.
Yeah.
It's because I forgot to put the link out. So I was chatting with Anthony and it just got to 5 to, and I was like, have I actually published the link? So yeah, that's why. Should we rattle our way through? Go on, Anthony.
Whilst there's only two of us in, let's get Travis on mute because he's got loads of background noise and he blocks you out.
All right.
And let's rattle through housekeeping.
I want to hear Travis. He might have. Well, okay. If you do actually have a genuine yes answer, Travis, just pipe up then.
That's right, Anthony.
No, I don't mind hearing Travis. It's just I don't. When Travis has got the microphone open, will be heard because Travis is, for some reason, your background noise drowns Nathan out more than what your normal voice does.
Beep beep. Right, let's do it. Any signs of Earth-based curvature?
No.
No.
Any signs of Earth-based axial rotation?
Nope.
No.
Any evidence of a pressurized system without a container?
Only on a whiteboard.
Bumboy examples excluded.
There is the claim, isn't there, that I don't know whether this is apt or not, but if you have a spaceman in an astronaut suit, M. Scott Veitch was the one, and I'd forgotten about M. Scott Veitch.
What's happened to M. Scott Veitch?
I don't know. I haven't seen or
Maybe
heard
he
anything
tried
about
the
him.
experiment.
Pardon?
Maybe he tried
Yeah.
the experiment.
Well, I did hear.
Rumor has it.
Yeah. You've heard the same rumor as me. What? Well, maybe not. Let's hear what your rumor was. See if it's the same as mine.
Who, me or Travis?
You said rumor has it, just as I said.
Yeah,
word on the grapevine.
Rumor has it. I saw an unofficial leaked NASA article that was deleted immediately as I read it, and it said that somebody had died whilst testing a spaceman suit in a vacuum chamber, and I'm wondering whether it was M. Scott Veitch.
That's the exact same rumor I heard. I didn't see the article, but that's the rumor I heard. Somebody had read an article somewhere, I can't remember who, about a death in a spaceman suit, testing it or something in a vacuum chamber, and could it be he's disappeared? It could be that M. Scott Veitch is that guy and he's had his eyeballs sucked out of his head in a vacuum chamber.
Yeah, his eyeballs did get sucked out of his head.
Anthony, how can this be the first time we're hearing you say this? When did you read this article?
Well, I read it, and then the minute I read it, it got deleted off my screen as though someone was watching my screen. So unfortunately, I've not got any evidence.
Shut up!
I have no evidence to present that this is actually true, and it is just a rumor.
How could it not stay on your browser? That doesn't make any sense.
It was deleted when I read it. It was like, you know, one of those telegrams that says, please destroy once read and by, like, from the Secret Service or whatever. In James Bond movies. It was like that. I've started reading it. Yeah, honestly. I have no evidence whatsoever for my assertion.
What happened?
We think M. Scott Veitch might have died.
What?
There was
it's a
Not by
rumor.
vacuum chamber.
It's a rumor.
Yeah, it's just a rumor. It's unconfirmed, and I have absolutely no evidence whatsoever to suggest that it's true. However, there was an astronaut that was killed whilst testing a spaceman suit in a vacuum chamber, according to an official document that doesn't exist from NASA. And we're wondering whether it was we've not seen him for a while, or heard him, or even heard anybody mentioning his name. So we're just wondering whether he is the astronaut that may not have died in the vacuum chamber.
Right.
Any evidence? Let's rephrase that. Arwen's on the panel. Any proof of gravity?
None. Arwen, any proof of gravity?
Not that I can find.
Good lad.
Still searching.
Don't say that's the kind of thing I'd say to a chat troll. Good lad.
Well, I don't mean it in a bad way.
You do. Condescending prick. That's no need.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't meant to be condescending. It may have come across that way. If it did, I apologise.
Anthony,
I'm just great. What it is actually is it's an expression of thanks. Now that we don't have to go through that conversation for the next 50 minutes.
Fair enough. Your gratitude would be better expressed with silence, I feel.
Yes.
Got lots of evidence though.
Oh yeah. Don't want to hear it. I've heard it too many times already. Check out the previous shows for Arwen's evidence of gravity. Right.
And check out my hangout about it. My last 5 hangouts.
Plug them by name, Arwen. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the most recent one is Flat Earth Talks Arwinian Gravity, where I talk with Travis. He interviews me very graciously. I think it's one of the best hangouts I've done.
That's me.
That's me. Yeah, that's you. With the clearest explanation so far. Before that, I have the previous version, the Flat Earth Talks, the upward acceleration force. The acceleration effect. And yeah, that also describes it, not in as much detail, but yeah, getting very close. And before that, I had before that, it's a while back. Those are the most recent 2 hangouts I did about that. There's also a mirror of Nathan's the downward acceleration force debate part 2, which is part of a hangout where we talked about it. And before that, the downward acceleration force debate, which was my one-on-one debate with Riley. It's also a mirror.
Cool.
And yeah, that's it.
Any evidence
Nathan.
of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Absolutely no evidence whatsoever that molten iron or molten nickel are able to self-perpetuate their own charge.
None.
None?
9.
Okay. What about the presupposition itself? Any evidence of gentlemen?
Only in maths.
That's not proof.
Correct, Harwin, that is true. Maths is not proof. Is there any evidence of GeoStreamer admitting that he was being fed by Soundly and that Sean Hufford had lied through his back teeth to try and create reasonable, plausible deniability on his behalf?
Not really flat Earth housekeeping, but you're welcome to ask. Welcome to ask the question.
Yeah. Anyway, to expand upon the maths is not just not proof. It is considered supernatural evidence because it's not in the physical realm.
Nathan, I want to read you a message I've had offline from somebody. I can't tell you his name because he hasn't told me that I can, but I can read the message. We have somebody that's going backwards over the Hangouts from 1 up to the first 100 or so.
Uh-huh.
And this is what his message is. And he gives me credit for which I'm not entitled. So I've corrected the record, but this is what he says. Riley, I've been watching all of the Flat Earth debates. I wanted to analyse the progression of the channel. I'm not sure if you realise this, but you are the person that turned the tide towards the Flat Earth side. Up until you started showing up around Flat Earth Debate 28, the Globe side dominated. Curved Water, Lewis, P. Mars, Brenda all got away with saying just about anything. It's amazing to watch the thing I just realised. It's amazing to watch. The thing I just realised about Nathan is at the start, he did not take part in the debate, but listened to everybody's arguments. I'm interested to see at what point does he start debating himself. This is what I mean by I'm most interested in the human element of things. I was amazed that you picked up on George's closed system matter to suddenly switch temperature in real time. That is not a normal skill to have. Not quite sure what that means. I was amazed you picked up on George's closed system matter to suddenly switch temperature in real time. That's not a normal skill to have. All right, he's on about spotting George moving the goalposts.
Yes.
But I've corrected him and said that actually it wasn't me specifically that that changed anything. It was just a conversation, and I'm sure Nathan, you'll remember it. Do you remember the conversation that we had that triggered it?
Yeah, but that was a credit. That I would still give you credit. I wouldn't change anything in terms of what he said in terms of the credit and where it's due to you. So you had a conversation with me about my intentions for the show and what I was trying to achieve, and I said that I was trying to demonstrate to the audience the type of obfuscation tactics that we would have to deal with by showing the hangout in full, and that was what I felt I was achieving, and that I was happy with that. And Anthony came along and said, well, we're in the minority here. Why are you allowing them to obfuscate the point? I said, well, I want to demonstrate that to the audience. In other words, I reiterated my objectives. What Anthony did was he showed me the hangout full, maybe 1 or 2 flat earthers max, and one of them was Hank Hill. And Hank Hill had made an absolutely exceptional point about the inverse square law and the lights in the sky. And it eventually got to the point where it was totally obfuscated, and then ham-handedly about an hour later on the show, this is when I did 2 hours back-to-back, I think it was Paper Explanator essentially conceded, when no one was really paying attention and it wasn't in context to the killer point that Hank had, that you had to assume the distance to the sun. Now, Anthony edited that together, and when I heard it in context, I was like, wow, that's absolutely devastating. And I changed my tactics completely, based purely on what Anthony had pointed out and how he pointed it out. So I would give you full credit, actually, Anthony. If you hadn't interjected, I'd probably be sitting back in my chair watching how the debate progressed and how other people progressed. And instead I've gone, now I'll take a lot more charge and indeed get involved in the debate itself. So, yeah, I would give you full credit for that, actually, Anthony.
But it did come from the Hank Hill moment. That was the moment for me that I realised that they have a deliberate attempt to obfuscate points where they're about to lose. And obviously, me and Nathan had a conversation and said, "Like I said to him, well, we are the minority. Why should we lose the point via obfuscation if they're on the ropes?" I said, "Why don't we at least get to the point where we get it back on track and get them to address the point so it gets closed, even if we lose." But rather than losing the point on obfuscation tactics, which is what was happening. And obviously, once that happened, it wasn't that long before we got involved with the Isle of Man stuff at, say, 76. And when we got onto 76 and we were going through the Isle of Man stuff, I don't know where, I can't remember exactly where Hank Hill started or where that point was brought from, but it wasn't that much far before it. It might have even been around that time. But essentially, the point was that from that moment on, we started to pick on the ballers. So we made examples of Paul Voigt on his expression of the meaning of the word down in the context in which it was written. We did it with curved water. We did it with the rumpus, and we've done it with rumpus many times since. But what is the reoccurring theme is that when there are arguments on the table that these guys are not likely to win, if they're not going to win the point, they will rather obfuscate the point with nonsense talk to try and take it away from everybody, or they will literally attack back. Now, some of them do attack back, but the ones that don't attack back end up complaining that they're being bullied. Well, actually, it's not that they're being bullied. It's that they're not being allowed to obfuscate the point. Let's get back on topic. Let's see that definition again. Let's see the evidence to support that point. And all we're doing really is a little bit more structure to the debate. If you're not sure about something, ask for proof. Like, for example, the other day, somebody asked me, it was George Netanyahu. He said, is a thermos a closed system? Now, common sense tells you what it is, but I didn't know what the definition was, and I wanted to know what the definition was because I didn't want to specifically agree to something that I didn't really know what I was talking about, but he made it black and white, so it was quite obvious that it was a closed system. But what do you know? The minute you ask for the definition, turns out that when he moved the goalposts from making it the changing of mass from one medium to the other, that's what makes it an open system. What do you know? It didn't apply. But without the definition, you wouldn't have known that. So it's really just a case of asking for proof, ask for evidence, ask for definitions, and then working out yourself how do they apply. And I mean, it's all right if you don't agree that it's the point was that mass and transfers between the two containers. If you think that we're wrong, then great. But at least we've all learned something. We've all learned what the definition of a closed container was. And we might have learned that there was a caveat to it, which included the thermal bit to it. But in any event, we learn stuff by asking for detail, asking for definitions, asking for evidence. And that's all I did, really. I just started to make them accountable for the things that they do and say, and keep them on topic so that the point doesn't get lost and there is closure to it. Even if we're wrong, let's get the point closed, because that person, if he's wrong, he'll probably come back the next day and say, hang on a minute, have a look at this. And that's all it was, really. I'm gonna have to go on mute because there's suddenly a massive downpour that's dead loud.
Yeah, same here. It's quite noisy rain. But yeah, George did exactly the same thing. So when we got to the point where we have a definition on screen that absolutely obliterates his entire argument for 2 days, and it's just his favourite source, it's Wiki, giving it in the bare bones details of what the Coriolis effect is, contrary to literally everything he said. And at that point, when it's pointed out, or when he's being asked, show us where it says third reference frame, show us where the ball or bullet is a third reference frame, and it's not there, that's when he starts criticising the Hangout, saying I'm a terrible host, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, now, I go, mute, shut up, you stupid senile old git. I'm going to point out to the audience that you don't have a third reference frame, that you have lied to the audience for the last 2 days, that this is not the definition of Coriolis, there is absolutely no proof whatsoever to back your assertions, and you've been defeated. And I'll also point out that this is what you do when you're defeated. You talk over the entire Hangout, you claim that you've been a victim, all these tactics. And I don't allow it anymore. That's the bottom line here. I'm not going to allow it. If we've got an absolute killer argument, I'm going to let that go to air. And if the Hangout can't do it, I'm going to do it because I'm in a position to do it. And I will. And it's devastating. You don't have space. Space is a joke. Every person who is currently in the chat that believes in space has been duped. You're an idiot. If you can't prove gas pressure without a container, you don't have the vacuum of space. It's a devastating argument, and George wanted to obfuscate it, and the obfuscation tactic is actually Coriolis in and of itself, but you have to handhold senile people through the actual Coriolis effect in order to get their obfuscation onto the table so you can demolish it. And simple citation at the end destroyed his 2 days of lies, his 2 days of complete bullshit, his 2 days of nonsense, his 2 days of his misapprehensions about what Coriolis is. And once it's laid bare, you can then get to the coup de grace. You don't have gas pressure unless you have a container. So show it. And if you can't, there's no vacuum of space. It's all a big lie. We already know it's a lie, and we don't mind taking idiots like George through it one step at a time while he lies, obfuscates, tries to claim victimhood and all the other nonsense. I don't mind at all. But the audience at the end will get to hear the point of it all. The point is space is bullshit. And it's easy to prove. We've got gas pressure. End of story. We're in a closed system. Now, if you want to assert that you can have gas pressure without a container, i.e. we're not in a closed system, show it. Should be easy, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in real quick in terms of the obfuscation. I experience that all the time when I'm talking with close friends who take it personal. When I have found that when I feel like I'm making a good argument, they change tacts, and then they bring up other issues. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And I'm like, no. Did you hear what I just said? This is what I just said. Let's deal with this. But when I can't get into their heads, so I don't know. Either they say to themselves, I don't know how to answer that, or I think he's right. But they just jump ship and try to come at it so they bring up something else that is either completely unrelated or might even be an attack on me, which is how the last conversation ended. I said to the guy, I said, look, I can tell by your responses that this is escalating for you. So I'm happy to drop it. And he said, is that because your arguments are so stupid? And I'm just like, okay, man. All right, we're done. But anyway, for what it's worth.
No, you've echoed exactly my sentiments about George. You know, at one point he even said, you're just stupid. You know, all he had was ad hom. No winning argument to go with his ad hominem. And I really enjoyed every time he did it. I went, right, okay. You want to call me a stupid idiot or whatever it is you want to insult me with. As soon as that happened, That was my gate opening, with my winning argument to ad hom the hell out of him, with no, comeback whatsoever. It's like, oh really? Well, he's just called me an idiot. So hello, was not was.
Ad hom the hell out of him.
Every time.
Comeback whatsoever. It's like
Mute your watch page.
Yeah, so I didn't even respond to him. I just thought, you know what? I think the best response for me is not to say anything and let his last statement of an ad hom be the profundity of the interaction. I'm just like, you're just proving my point by your attacking me.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand debate structure, though. Hey, SX. So they would automatically assume that an ad hominem is actually a winning argument. Some people genuinely don't get it in that regard. Did we actually get to the end of housekeeping? I'm pretty sure we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Hey, so that's a first.
Yeah, I'm making a little image because I want to get into this whole reference frame thing. But yeah, I'm still working on it. I'll be finished in like 5 minutes, I think.
Okay, it's dead easy. Hi, Big Barry. Let's see if it works this time. Good to have you.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. So have you got your voice changer on today, Big Barry?
I do indeed.
Fair enough. So what can we do you for?
Just a couple questions. One for, is it Quantum Eraser? Is he here?
He's not here.
Oh, I thought he was, sorry. One question for you as well. It's about the whole Reds argument. I'm not sure if you want to discuss it or not. But
I didn't hear there was a few binging and bongings. The what argument?
the whole Reds debate argument.
Still didn't hear it.
Yeah, the Reds rhetoric argument that you have.
Wow, you're really noisy. I don't have any...
Rhetoric argument.
Yeah, Nathan, Jimmy's saying it's the Reds rhetoric argument.
What Reds rhetoric argument? Barry, mate, you're making so much racket. What gives?
Not me.
So the question is, what Reds rhetoric argument? He hasn't been here to present any arguments.
Yeah, I just think it's weird how you have a go at Reds for not coming onto your show. But when people do go on your show, you call them all sorts of names and quite abusive to them, and then say, well, why do you not come onto the show, Reds?
Sorry, Reds Rhetoric's called me out and said that he wants to debate me. So I've subsequently given him two options. Number one, join the show via the public link which is published daily and debate me, or tuck his tail between his bitch legs and piss off. That's his two choices. So if he wants to debate me, he can. He can click the link in the public info box. I'm going to repeat what I've just said. He can click the link, join the show, and debate me. If he wants to, as he has asserted he does. Or, after asserting that he wants to debate me and having a link to do so, he can do the other thing. Tuck his tail between his bitch legs and piss off. That's what Red's choices are. He doesn't have to like them.
But yeah, I saw on the non sequitur show, you had Red's rhetoric versus Jeranism, and that was a fair debate. I mean, obviously Jeranism got completely owned, but I thought that was a fair debate.
Do you really think that was a fair debate?
Yeah.
So what?
Well, that's the problem right there, man.
So what? What's your point? So what?
Well, you're talking about you can't debate Red's rhetoric because it won't be fair and what have you.
Sorry, those words have not crossed my lips. I'll repeat Red's rhetoric's options because you, like George, seem to be senile and hearing things because those words did not cross my lips. Okay? I'll repeat it because clearly you're deaf, Jimmy.
It's Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. So, Jimmy, I'll repeat it for you, mate. He's got two options. He can come and debate me by clicking the link which is published daily to the public, or tuck his tail between his legs and piss off.
Is that to me?
Yeah, those are his two choices. I've repeated them 3 times. He doesn't have to like the choices, and neither do you, Sunshine.
Yeah, but if you're willing to argue about your point, but yet you're not willing to go outside your own platform, that's fair enough. It's your decision. I'm just saying I just don't think it's a very good sign of your character.
Oh, really? Well, what you can do, like Reds can do, is go and moan about my character rather than come and debate me. That's what I would call a bitch move. Rather than coming and debating me when he has the option and ability to do so, he can attack my character.
But it's not really, yours is not really a debate show, though, is it?
It's called Flat Earth Debate, and we are currently literally in discussion and debate about Reds and me. That's what you have chosen to debate here. You haven't come with evidence of gas pressure without a container. You've come and debated my character. That's what you have chosen to debate on this debate show. You. So you are asserting this is not a debate. Why are we having this conversation then?
Well, it's more of a question and answer session.
Oh, really? You can call it what you like.
I just think
this is Jimmy, right? We are talking to Jimmy, right?
Of course we are.
Sorry.
It's about as blatant as it gets. These people are retards. They think we're stupid.
Jimmy the liar.
That is hilarious. That's totally fine. That is hilarious.
Who's Jimmy?
You're Jimmy.
Listen, just like the face has something that you can't modify, there's the way that you talk, Jimmy. You just can't change it, man. No matter how much you got that voice changer. This is absolutely hilarious.
I don't know who you're talking about. Sorry. I think it's a fair point, though. Feminism went on the balls to do it. Got completely owned, to be fair, but at least had the balls to do it. Whereas you sit in your hangout and won't debate anyone unless you call them senile or other not very nice phrases that you say.
So again, I've pointed out that you're attacking my character rather than debating the subject, which is the title of the show.
Okay.
Not okay. Yeah, let's break this long pause by saying Jerem went on with Red on his choice of platform because of a barter agreement they had, Jimmy. Yeah? So they had a barter agreement and Jerem conceded his loss. Therefore, was owed a debate on a separate platform. Off the back of that, Red, like the cocky little prick that he is, thought that he had the right to demand the same from me. And I very quickly pointed out his 2 options. Number 1, join the show via the public link published daily and face this alligator. Number 2, tuck his tail between his stalk bitch legs and fly away, flapping away about how I've got a bad character, how my shows run badly, and all those manly bitchy things that you can say. Like a little bitch. He can bitch about how it's not a fair platform. Well, he's called me out, dickhead. So if he wants to debate me, all he's got to do is join. If he doesn't, like I say, he can tuck his tail between his bitch-ass legs and fly away moaning about how bad things are and how Brenda's okay to come on here and George is okay, but it's not good enough for that little bitch. He needs special treatment, special platform, special circumstances for Red, because he's a bitch.
But doesn't a debate have to have a moderator?
Yeah, that'd be me. He wants to debate the moderator. So in the same way Steve pipes up and has his little 2 pennyworth, even though he's supposed to be the moderator. Difference between me and Steve, I have actually been off platform. Steve's never been anywhere. If Reds wants to call out the moderator of this debate, he can. But he has to join the bloody debate.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it is fair enough, isn't it? So let's just reiterate it now. We've got a concession that is absolutely fair enough. My bitch Reds rhetoric can either join and face me or not. Glad we got that out of the way.
Yep.
So do you have any actual arguments regarding the shape of the Earth?
Not really.
So you literally just came here to attack my character? Wow, what an arsehole.
Came to have a chat about it.
Sorry? Can't understand through your
Okay,
voice
have a chat
changer.
about it.
Why have you got a voice changer?
Because I want to keep my anonymity on the internet.
What, pussy?
Yeah,
What
you haven't
coward?
got very well with that.
What, pussy? Just like Red. You know what Red's been doing? He's been using sock accounts to hide his anonymous account. So he's such a pussy that he's got an anonymous account like you, and then has used socks to protect his anonymous account. What a pussy. When I insult somebody, if I go to their comment section, I do it with my name and my year of birth. Nathan Oakley, 1980. This is how old I am. This is my name. Yeah? I'm not a coward. You bunch of pussies who believe you've got the truth on your side about this bullshit globe that you think we live on. You need voice changers and anonymous accounts. Me, I have got the truth on my side. That's why I've got my name next to what I say. I don't need sock accounts. I've got balls.
I don't know who this Jimmy is.
Couldn't care less. You've got nothing. You've got no arguments for your spinning ball religion. I know you've got a spinning ball religion because you've come here to defend Red, but you don't have any arguments for it. Only an attack on my character. Doesn't that just say it all?
Oh, I just think you're too scared-faced Reds because he'll completely own you.
Really? That's why I've got a public hangout where anybody can join because I'm hiding behind an open door? What kind of idiot are you?
But Mr. Owen, as you said, you would be debating the moderator.
Yeah, Reds has called me out, dickhead. What part of he's supposed to have the truth on his side don't you get? If he's in the right, he should have nothing to fear.
I just think a lot of people come on your platform and you've been so abusive. Like even yesterday, you had Conspiracy Cats, and who's a friend of Sleeping Warrior.
How long have you known Conspiracy Cats, Anthony? Is he a long-time friend of yours? Anthony, how long have you known him? Oh, Anthony's disappeared at just the wrong moment.
No, I am here. Just the dogs jumped up and knocked me brew over. I don't know. I don't know him real well. I only know him through not Facebook, through YouTube.
Want to take that back, Jimmy? It's typical Jimmy lie, that, just to assert that they're good friends when they don't know each other. They've never met.
Maybe I was misinformed. But like, obviously Anthony knows him. Yeah,
No.
and they did a video.
Sorry, you just made the same assertion again. I don't know. It's
him.
clearly Jimmy. Now we know it's Jimmy.
Oh.
Don't we, Jimmy? By the way you're
Who
behaving.
is this Jimmy?
You. By the way you're behaving. You've just asserted something. We've proved it incorrect on the spot and you've reasserted it. That's very Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. And
What we could do is
you space the words in the same pattern.
what we could do is get him to
Same
read an
tempo.
extract from a particular citation, and let's just listen for the inflections again, and we can just laugh at him when he denies that it's him. It's not him, rather.
So, but he came on. This Conspiracy Cats came on, and within 2 or 3 minutes, you were calling him all sorts of things, and he wasn't happy with that, and he went off. And I don't think that was very respectful.
Oh, really? Well, I asked him the same question 4 times. I'd highlighted the issues about the question in a comment section which he had responded to, specifically regarding entropy, and he had implied that he would make a video about it. Instead, he joined my panel, was asked the same question 4 times, and his explanation ignored entropy. Now, having asked the same question 4 times, and his answers ignoring entropy, something I had drawn his attention to in no uncertain terms, I would call that rude. 4 times I asked him. And then he told me, "You won't make me your bum boy." Very poor choice of phrasing. Not something I ever say, but he has been made my bum boy because he can't answer my question. How do you have gas pressure without a container? And until he does, the title he has self-appointed will remain.
Is that a way to treat people who come on your show?
Sorry, he told me I'm not going to be making him my bum boy. He's telling me what I'm not going to be doing. So I am going to do it, Conspiracy Cats. I'm not one of your students. You don't tell me what I'm not going to be doing, friend. I'll make you my bum boy now, because that's what I can do, despite you telling me that I'm not going to. So if you want to assert that I'm rude after being told what I'm not going to do, that's your privilege, mate. But I assure you, Conspiracy Cats will remain my bum boy until he demonstrates gas pressure without a container. He has given himself this title, and his weaselly behaviour is why he has been assigned his own title. Words I have never used.
Rather than getting angry with everyone, why don't you being nasty to them? Why don't you just listen to what they've got to say, and at the end of it going, well, I think it's this, or I disagree.
Has someone been nasty to you?
What, in my life?
Yeah, were you that little boy?
No, I just think there's a way of treating people with respect, even if you disagree with you.
So you asserted that I didn't listen to him. I did listen to him. His response was, we don't need a container. Yeah? I'd already pointed out to him that if there's no container, it would suffer the effects of entropy, something he completely ignored when I listened to his explanation. By the fourth time of me asking for the same thing, I'm not going to be polite anymore. Sorry if you don't like that. If you don't have an answer to a question, go away and come back when you do have an answer. Don't just contradict the very point that's being made with an assertion that you don't need a container, when the question on the table is how do you have gas pressure without a container? Funny how Jimmy's making the exact same points in the chat. Isn't that weird?
Probably typing out a response right now.
Yeah, he was on silence. Jimmy made a comment. Exactly the same comment being made by old big whatever his name is here.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not supposed to read the comments and type them. Don't!
Men can't multitask, can they, Jimmy?
You were on mute for quite a long time while Jimmy was making that comment, weren't you? Amazing how long that pause was.
You were saying that's all.
Oh, really?
I just think you should
that's all.
That's
what Jimmy says. That's all. That's all. That's all. It's a very Jimmy phrase. You've got a lot of Jimmy phrases. Why would you be lying to us, Jimmy? I tell you what, Jimmy. Right? You're completely anonymous.
This is the best show ever. This is the best show ever right now, because this is the scene in the movie where everybody is getting the joke and they're just cracking up laughing. This is awesome. This is awesome.
So, if you are indeed... Well, just take off your voice changer then.
No.
Oh, really?
You
want to remain anonymous, even though your identity could easily prove you're not Jimmy just by turning off your voice changer.
Why don't you go and debate Red?
Oh, why don't I go and do something? Let's distract from what I've just asked. If you want to prove you're not Jimmy, turn off your voice changer. And then we'll know for certain, won't we? No. That's because you are Jimmy, you lying piece of shit.
Why don't you go and debate Red?
No, don't tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to now tell the audience that we've got yet another liar. Somebody who's tried to defend that he's not a liar has come on and lied through his back teeth about who he is with his voice changer. After recently being banned.
Why don't you be a man? Why don't you be a man and take off the voice changer?
Yeah, be a man,
Jimmy.
Be a man, Jimmy.
I think in this day and age,
let's apply some peer pressure to Jimmy. Be a man, Jimmy. Grow a pair of balls, you pathetic pussy. Why do you need the anonymity? Why do you need the anonymity to defend what is basically mainstream science, Jimmy? Why do you need an anonymity to have an opinion on how I am and to defend mainstream rhetoric? Why would you need anonymity for that?
Why not?
I'm asking why you would. Why do you need anonymity to defend mainstream rhetoric?
Because I'm a big deal. I don't my real voice out there. Because people might recognise me.
What, as Jimmy? Yeah, we already have Jimmy.
I'm a big deal.
Big deal. It's funny, that's a similar sentiment as Jimmy had. He said he was getting quite famous. Now you claim to be a big deal. It's amazing the amount of comparisons that we can draw between you and Jimmy. It's just incredible, really. I don't get it. Why would you lie to us through your back teeth when it's so glaringly obvious and you've been called? You're just a liar. You're a lying sack of shit, Jimmy.
This is like Count Olaf in a series of unfortunate events. Who is this Count Olaf? He sounds dashingly handsome.
This must be Bill Murray.
I like that film.
Big Barry's a big deal. Making a bit of a name for yourself, aren't you, Big Barry?
Bill Miller, yeah, that's the one.
It's Big
Bill
Barry.
Miller.
Hello.
Hello, Jimbo.
I think Big Barry Love has come to the end of his reign on the show today, Nathan. Has anybody?
He's got nothing to offer. He's got nothing
I'm just
to offer.
all over the cultural references. It'd be so funny, like on Ferris Bueller, if Jimmy called in on another line and it was him and he's got both going at the same time. So then, remember that scene in Ferris Bueller when Cameron was pretending to be Sloane's dad, and then Principal Rooney was like, "I know who you are. It's Ferris Bueller," and then Ferris Bueller calls in on the other line. That would be totally funny if Jimmy owned us right now by calling in on another line and saying, "Hey, here I am. I heard you guys were talking about me."
Yeah, okay. Let's invite Jimmy in the chat into the hangout. Jimmy, you have reprieve. Let's get yourself into the hangout and let's hear Jimmy and Big Barry at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if Jimmy joins.
Not banned.
Jimmy,
Nobody's
Jimmy.
banned Jimmy. Ah, what another lie. So
Yeah.
you haven't tried because you did try, you joined, and I kicked you out on that single show. Nobody is banned. Even the people I've said aren't welcome. They're all capable of joining, just like you are, Jimmy. Another lie. You're not banned.
I can vouch for the truth in that, because basically me and Nathan have had it out a few times, and I'm here, and it's no problem. He doesn't hold bias like that. We had arguments in the past, and here I am. He's not being biased or unfair.
Well, even Arwen doesn't agree on it. All points and he's in. So why would Jimmy not come in, especially when he's been specifically invited? Come on, Jimmy.
What have you got up, Arwin? Because I'm sick of this conversation. I'd much rather move over to what you're demonstrating. So can you tell us, do I need to present what you've got up? Hi, P.
Hey, look. Hold on.
Who's the other one?
If anyone on the panel has him blocked, he'll be blocked. It doesn't matter, like, whether you blocked him or not, Nathan, by the way.
Yeah, hold on. We want some proof now. So if Jimmy and Big Barry Love can speak up at the same time, just talk through each other.
Hey, Jimmy.
At the same time. Jimmy?
I think this guy's...
It's a little technically difficult.
Hey,
Yeah.
Travis. Hey, how's it going? Oh, not too bad.
I'm
How are
pretty sure
you?
the voice changer person is Cat Earth, but I mean, I don't know 100%.
Nah, it's Jimmy.
Nah, you know what? Jimmy might not even be the real character, and he's using a voice changer there.
Of course he's not the real character. His real name's not Jimmy.
And it's taking too much time to switch the settings of the voice changer.
Yeah, let's watch for the voice changer go wrong on Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy. Big Barry, have a conversation.
The software.
Ah,
Oh,
and he's
Jimmy's
gone.
dropped.
Hey, Jimmy.
See you later, Jimmy.
Wow,
That was a
good
total
try.
fail.
A for effort.
Yeah, right. Sorry, Barry. Total fail. Sod off.
Did he get kicked?
I booted him. It's Jimmy
Well,
lying through his back teeth. We all know it.
Yeah, we all know it.
All right, so I wanted to make a little reference to the discussion earlier when I was listening in the background. Nathan with George, and he was tearing him a new one about reference frame, and George kept claiming that a bullet is its own reference frame. So, yeah, if you can see in this drawing, a reference frame is very specifically an object that, whatever it may be, in relation to something else moving. That is a reference frame. So, yeah, the merry-go-round goes around, and, in relating to the Earth, that's reference frame. And the bullet, basically being shot in relation to the merry-go-round moving, is a reference frame. And, the bullet itself, it's not its own reference frame. You need a connection to something else. That's why it's called a reference frame. Both two words that both imply a connection. So,
as in reference to what?
Exactly. And even a frame is connecting. It's a 3D. It's connecting. Anyway. Yeah, just the whole idea that there's 3 reference frame if you include the bullet itself. No, the bullet only has a reference frame to the gun, because that's what it's moving from. And then, yeah, the gun to the merry-go-round. And yeah, a thing on its own is not a reference frame. It's only a reference frame if it is moving in accordance with something else.
Nathan.
And then the other thing is the reference frame.
Superb. Yeah. Crude though it is in terms of your drawing, it's spot on. You know, yeah. Simple. Coriolis isn't complicated, if you ask me.
Nathan, you put a link in the, I don't know, I can't remember where you put it in, but that link of the Coriolis explanation by that bloke calculating it all. In that video that you cited yesterday, I think it was on one of the Skype conversations, the bloke clearly states that pilots have to consider the effects of Coriolis daily. And I thought, I bet you no pilot ever has ever considered the effects of Coriolis, not even one, let alone all of them doing it every day. Thinking about it, like, if we're gonna head in this direction, but by the time we get there, if we maintain our speed, the Earth will catch us up, and we will land in the right place. It's just utter nonsense.
Yeah, I was watching some Coriolis presentations yesterday, and one of them, I guess a female science teacher or something like that, she was going through an explanation, and she said, now imagine you have a paper airplane that you can throw, and it'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. She says, from your location in Texas, say, you throw the airplane, and it just keeps going and going and going. She said, in a couple of hours, it'll end up in New York because of the turning of the Earth.
Utter nonsense.
And I was just thinking, really? I mean, isn't that our point? And
yes,
now you're telling us that's exactly it. We should just get up in a helicopter and wait for the Earth to pass.
That is our point, yeah. They're claiming our point as their own. Bit like Wallace did in the Bedford Levels experiment. Wow. What was that noise?
Voice changer malfunction.
No, that's my sensors in my truck. When I get too close to the middle lane, it warns me. It sounds like a woodpecker.
So, in the Bedford Levels experiment, what Wallace did was he drew out what the optics could show, and the judge verified that what he saw in the optics was what was drawn. And Wallace claims that basically that this is consistent with the effects of refraction on a spheroid Earth. But it's the same argument that we have daily. That argument by Wallace is the same argument that the ballers have these days with why we see things that we shouldn't see. They all argue it's because of the effects of refraction. Well, things have not progressed in any way whatsoever since the days of Wallace. And when you think about the way that, what was his name now? The other guy, what was the other guy's name? Can't remember the other guy's name, but the guy that went to jail because he started a vendetta against him. That's the way I feel against these ballers that tell us that, refraction explains it. You only need 1/4%, 1 degree to calculate this and show it. And it's like, yeah, but you need to show that there's a curve that the light would be bending around in the first place. It's subject to curvature. That's the bit that they're not pointing out. Even if the bending of light thing is true, you've still got to show that there's a curve that it's bending round. And if light could bend round curves, then we wouldn't get shadows the way we get shadows. So it's utter nonsense.
But yeah, they need to prove the R in terrestrial refraction. 7/6R is what they're talking about. 7/6 of the radius of the Earth. It's bending around the Earth. Well, that's terrestrial refraction. So prove the R. Don't just assert it.
If anybody's in contact with the Awake Souls and the Limitless channel, let's get them into chat, because I want to give them a good shout out for their response video to Ranty that they did the other day. They said that they would give the world's best ever YouTube apology if Ranty turned out to have been true and correct with what he was reporting. And obviously Ranty went back and live streamed it, and basically their response was ridiculous. So if them two are out there, I want to challenge them on something they said about Ranty, which is complete and utter folly. I'll give you the clue, and I'll whisper it just so it's secret. He said that he was a brilliant videographer.
What? Awake Soul said that Ranty was an excellent videographer.
Well, it was what he was trying to do was suggest, or he was trying to reinforce the suggestion that Ranty had faked it by claiming that he was an expert videographer. And I thought, you haven't seen much of Ranty's Horizons. He gets constantly criticised for them. Shout out to Ranty in the chat. Oh, by the way, did you see Chris Monk's message on Facebook?
What, claiming that he's infiltrated the flat Earth movement?
No, not that one. It was the one where he claims that he was never a flat earther, and he doesn't know why anybody would think that he was. Really?
No, I would concur. He's always said that he's agnostic in his position, so I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, but the bit that I disagree with is why anybody would think that he's not, given that he was a member of FE Corps, he was on the show a few times, presented evidence that didn't support sphericity. I mean, I accept the first point that he's not a flat earther. That's fine. But the bit when he says that he doesn't know why anybody else would think that is a little bit of a mystery to me.
Because of the whole curvature situation, that we've been shoving that in his face, that, well, basics are not correct, so he should know better. That's the problem with Chris Monk. He's ignoring evidence.
Yeah, accusing certain members of FE Corps for doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't fuss me particularly. You know, Chris is one guy, so who cares? Yeah. You know, he's entitled to his opinion. What he's shown me didn't match reality, and I told him so. And when he sort of mumbled his response back to me, I was like, okay, you're now pushing the mainstream narrative and are prepared to model it around their presuppositions. Well, if that's what you want to do and assert that you believe in a ball, then as far as I'm concerned, you're disingenuous. I don't want to associate with you. But beyond that, it's like, well, you know, no hard feelings. I don't care. Good for you. Chris, I always liked him. I still do. He's still a good guy. But, you know, it's the way he's expressing his misapprehensions to me was disingenuous. And I'm not going to ever change that position. You know, I'm pretty sure when he showed me what he showed me, which I won't detail now, he tipped his hand maybe a little too much. And then so did I. I was like, well, that's just not the case. And like I say, I got a muttery response, and I haven't spoken to him since, and I have no desire to, because essentially, as far as I can ascertain, he is prepared to doctor his models to match a presupposition of an Earth radius in terms of the horizon, especially, which is what he showed to me. But there we go. You know, like I say, no hard feelings. Everyone's entitled to their belief, if indeed it is a belief. But if it's not, who cares? Again, he's entitled to be disingenuous. It's no skin off my teeth.
No skin off your nose, not your teeth.
I like teeth. Rawr.
But yeah, about the refraction, the other day, after the show was over, at the debates, a guy came in, and he had been looking deeply into refraction. And he really got how it's supposed to work, and he said he was doing observations and everything. He came on camera, by the way, so he might be back at some time. I don't remember his name, but he had basically figure out that the refraction just through air is so absolutely abysmally small that it could never cause the kind of bending that would sufficiently shape a globe Earth into a plane.
Who is this you're talking about?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Could have been Ranty debunking Great Sapien.
No. It was a new guy I've never seen. He just came in right after the show was over, and he sounded really nice. I think it was British. I don't know. Said he had lived in Australia some time ago. So yeah, I don't know who he was, but he might be back at some time. It was really interesting, and he had like really detailed evidence that refraction just can't cause it. The only way refraction ever is strong enough is when there is a passage through another type of medium, like through air against glass, water. When the medium shift applies, then you get real serious refraction that you can notice on the spot. But otherwise, just through a singular medium, there is basically no refraction going on, no bending at all.
Can I ask a question? Because so when the higher you go in the atmosphere, the air becomes less dense.
Yeah,
right?
then refraction is even less.
Right, isn't that so? If you have like air, the dense air versus light air, or like not as dense air, isn't that two different
difference
mediums?
is? You know what the difference is? It's 0.02, I think.
Well, yeah, but isn't it still a different medium because the density is different?
No, but that is the actual refraction rate change between the higher up and the lower up. It's that small. It's insignificant.
It's the same medium.
Yeah, the standard refraction
it can't
through
be
air is already insignificant, and then
I mean, I'll give
the
you
pressure
that.
differentials don't make it very much different.
It's not very much different, but it's still different. So it's because it's
no
different.
insignificant. 0.0.
Hold on, can I just pee? So if you're just looking at something through a layer of atmosphere, why would you assert that it changes at all? I mean, obviously there's going to be minute differences because the temperature's not the weather's not equal everywhere. But just let me qualify this, because I'm going to round out for a 10-minute break and then I will let you answer. But other than if you assume that you're on a sphere, therefore as the Earth falls away from you, the building that's on the other side of that curve has got a higher gradient above it because it's further round a curve. But unless you make that presupposition, what makes you think that there's going to be any gradient change whatsoever between me and something I view?
Well, isn't weather driven by pressure? Like there's different pressure systems.
No, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
Hold on, Arwin.
It's only
Yeah, I can't talk, Arwin. Arwin, you want to just answer the question for me, Arwin?
I just did. Any wind storms, high pressure zones, it doesn't matter. It's still insignificant. And the change between regular air pressure is insignificant also. It's even more insignificant. That's the issue.
I could just say that there's a difference between air pressure and vapor pressure. The water and the amount of water in the air has a big, big part to play in these pressure relationships. Air is nitrogen and oxygen. There's no water in air. Its pressure, if it varies, it's because force has been applied to it. The confinements have been, in whatever way, restricted on it. But there's a big difference and big play in the difference between air pressure and vapor pressure that's in the air, and its role and its function. Mm-hmm. So as long as we talk about pressure and air pressure without considering vapor pressure, it's kind of like one-eyed king leading the blind followers. It's not real science. It's pseudoscience we're doing here.
And that's not the refraction we're ever referring to either. The refraction we're referring to is specific. It's terrestrial refraction, and this is based on 7.6R. So it is based on the presupposition that you have a radius value and that the Earth is curving away from you at a rate of 7.6R. So that's the refraction value they assign to it. So there's no calculations about what the weather's doing. It's just arbitrarily apply 7.6R to whatever mathematics you're doing when you ignore perspective.
Right, but actual refraction, when you get into optics, that's how much it actually is in a normal air situation. And even with some moist in it, that might make it slightly less insignificant, but it's still going to be insignificant.
Well, I've seen an experiment, or I don't know if you want to call it an experiment, but a guy showed that he showed a laser refracting at different angles based on the temperature of the air, which changes the density. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah, Great
live.
Sapien did it recently. So Great Sapien wheeled like a fiery, like hot coals underneath the laser, and then he moved a block of ice or something similar underneath the laser and showed how much it refracted. And then Ranty went away and looked at it and went, well, even if you had this amount of refraction with an enormous temperature differential between the air, then you're getting a tiny amount of refraction as a result of that on the laser itself. So even counting for huge differences, you still don't get the amount of refraction we need. But this is an irrelevant point, because that's not what they're doing. They're not calculating anything. They're just arbitrarily applying 7.6R.
Right.
But that wasn't the only point Ranty made. The other point was that if the laser beam was bending, then why wasn't the board bending behind it, which would have the same ray trace that the laser beam would have?
Indeed. So that's probably my opportunity to round out for a quick break. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!